Tonight, Canada is sending troops to help get citizens out of Sudan.
The Canadian Armed Forces are ready to begin conducting evacuation flights.
Hundreds of Canadians waiting to be rescued as time runs out in a fragile ceasefire. Striking federal workers descend on Parliament Hill amidst demands the Prime Minister get involved. And the truth about hormone therapy and menopause.
It's either doctors are denying people hormones or hormones are evil. And, that's not medicine.
The myths, misunderstanding, and misinformation.
This is The National with Ian Hannamansing.
Tonight, confirmation troops from this country are now stationed near Sudan. They're on a mission to rescue Canadians caught in the middle of a deadly conflict. And here are some of the Canadian Armed Forces members departing from CFB Trenton. Roughly 200 are being deployed to the region to help coordinate and carry out the evacuation of 700 Canadians who are trapped in Sudan and have asked the government to help them escape. Evan Dyer now with more on the scope of this urgent mission and the extreme lengths some Canadians have already gone to get to safety.
Sudan's military turned away several flights today, including a Canadian one, according to the Department of National Defense. But Ottawa says at least 180 Canadians, permanent residents, and their families have been rescued by Canada's allies.
We are quite traumatized, but, grateful to be alive.
The German military brought Azza Ahmed and family to Berlin by way of Jordan.
I received a call from the Canadian Embassy letting me know that there was a flight leaving the following day at 2 p.m. and that we had to make it to a military airport in 9 hours in order to get out.
Ahmed's cousins risked their lives to get her from an area that's seen heavy fighting. She hid her Canadian passport.
It is quite dangerous for us to be identified as Canadians because we could have been held as hostages by the rebels.
Canadian Armed Forces have 2 Hercules aircraft in the region now, and when conditions on the ground permit, they will then move Canadians out of the area.
Canadian forces have also deployed about 200 personnel to a staging ground in Djibouti. Canada is looking at 2 possible sites for extraction. The preferred one, says the military, is just north of Khartoum at Omdurman Air Base. Another is Port Sudan on the Red Sea. But Port Sudan is a grueling 850 kilometers from Khartoum, and a UN convoy that traveled the road yesterday encountered 22 roadblocks. Ahmed says she cried tears of relief when she saw German soldiers, but she's less impressed with the Canadian government.
The response could have been a lot better, to be honest. We were contacted on Monday, 10 days after the fighting started.
Adding urgency to rescue efforts, a ceasefire between the military and paramilitary due to expire in just days now.
These 10 days of violence and chaos are heartbreaking. A prolonged, full-scale war is unbearable to contemplate.
Hundreds have been killed and thousands are now sheltering without food or water.
There is yet no unequivocal sign that either is ready to seriously negotiate, suggesting that both think that securing a military victory over the other is possible.
Evan, what do we know about the Canadians who have been deployed and the message to Canadians who are on the ground waiting?
Well, of course, the government has deployed those 2 Hercules aircraft along with flight crews and ground crews, but it also sent a company of Canadian infantry from CFB Petawawa in Ontario. That's usually about 120 soldiers to provide security and logistics, and also part of a divisional headquarters to oversee the whole operation. As far as people in Sudan, Global Affairs is asking them, first of all, to register as Canadians abroad with that department, and if they want to be on an evacuation flight, to also go to their Request Emergency Assistance page and ask for it there.
Thanks, Evan.
Thanks, Ian.
Police in Ontario say they're investigating claims a man was selling a legal but potentially lethal substance online directly to people looking to end their lives. And as Thomas Dagla tells us, concerns were first raised in England.
Could parcels sent from this post office in a suburban Ontario strip mall be connected to suicides an ocean away? It's all part of a police investigation following multiple deaths including that of 22-year-old Tom Parfitt from Maidenhead, England.
I'm 99% certain that if my son was unable to source this drug, he'd still be here.
David Parfitt says his son bought a substance online that Tom used to kill himself. And he says British police told him it came from a website based outside Toronto. CBC News has viewed an archived version of the site. The original was taken down by its service providers. It sold sodium nitrite, a chemical used for curing meats that experts warn can be fatal when misused.
It does cause death and seems to do so fairly quickly in those people that consume a sufficient quantity of it.
An investigation by the Times of London newspaper named Ontario man Kenneth Law as a chef selling poison to suicidal youngsters. The newspaper says Law boasted about sending the product to hundreds of people in the UK. CBC News has not confirmed those allegations, and we couldn't reach Law by phone.
Hi, you reached the confidential mailbox of Kenneth Law.
After the suicide of 23-year-old Neha Raju in England last year, a coroner's inquest found the substance used is freely available to be purchased from the internet, with no protection for vulnerable people. The coroner's report points to a post office box in Mississauga, Ontario, the same one listed on the website, and apparently used by Kenneth Law to ship his products abroad.
I don't know how to fix this. What I do know is it needs to be fixed.
Peel Regional Police have not laid charges in this case and have only told us there is an ongoing investigation. Kenneth Law did not respond to our requests for comment. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Mississauga, Ontario.
And police in Toronto say they've charged more than 100 people after an investigation into a string of vehicle thefts.
Vehicle theft and its impact on violent crime is a growing problem in our city and the Greater Toronto area.
And today, police displayed some of the 550 stolen vehicles recovered since last November. They're valued at more than $27 million. Vehicle thefts in and around the city have doubled since 2019. Police say the majority of those arrested are from Ontario. There appears to be a shift in tone tonight, more than a week into the strike by tens of thousands of federal public servants. Talks continue, but progress seems to have stalled. Kate McKenna takes us to Parliament Hill, where workers turned out in force to deliver a message.
Thousands of civil servants took to Parliament Hill for the biggest rally yet. After days of negotiations, the two sides can't agree on wages.
They still have 9% on the table over 3 years. And they're telling us that we have to move. That's not how bargaining works.
Both sides are still at the negotiation table, but the tone has shifted from signs of optimism yesterday to this.
Well, I'm actually frustrated this morning.
The union says it has come down from its initial demand, a 13.5% increase over 3 years, though it won't say by how much. On CBC's Power and Politics, the government says its offer of 9% over 3 years is about as high as it will go.
I don't have anything really much to maneuver with anymore. It's pretty much the ceiling that I have.
Oral questions. Now calls from the union and the opposition for the Prime Minister to get involved.
Start spreading the news.
He was criticized for taking a work trip to New York.
He wants to be a part of it. New York, New York.
Will he cancel his trip and negotiate a fair contract for these workers?
I do find it a little odd that I'm having to explain to a member of the NDP how collective bargaining works, but sometimes it takes time.
Both sides seem far apart, and the workers have been picketing for more than a week. But the people here say that they're in it for the long haul.
I do wish that we were understood and supported as public servants, because we supported everyone during all of COVID.
I think today it's stronger than ever, and that's what gives me hope. It keeps me feeling okay.
There also appears to be no movement on another demand: clear rules around the right to work from home. It's another roadblock to getting a deal done. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Turning to Florida now, and a major escalation in a bitter year-long feud. Disney is now suing Governor Ron DeSantis. Disney accusing DeSantis of retaliation by his government and trying to punish Disney for exercising free speech. This conflict began last year with Disney's public opposition to Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay bill that limited discussion of sexual orientation in schools. Since then, legislators have targeted Disney, including its long-held ability to self-govern its resort in Orlando as if it were a county. Donald Trump is on trial in New York City, the former U.S. president being sued for allegedly sexually assaulting a woman decades ago. Today in court, she took the stand. Chris Reyes was there for the highly anticipated testimony.
She arrived appearing in good spirits for a testimony that at times had E. Jean Carroll in tears. In the courtroom, she testified for hours, laying out in graphic detail an alleged encounter with Donald Trump at a New York luxury department store in the mid-90s. When asked by her lawyer why she came forward with the case, she said, "I'm here because Donald Trump raped me. And when I wrote about it, he said I lied and shattered my reputation. And I'm here to get my life back."
Sexual violence.
Carroll has had a long career in the U.S. as a journalist, writer, and advice columnist. Legal experts say Carroll's challenge will be to explain the timing of her legal action.
She will be subject to cross-examination for why didn't you, if this was such a horrible traumatic experience, why didn't you A, report it to the police, and B, file your lawsuit years ago and not wait till now when memories have faded.
On the stand, Carroll admitted to not remembering the exact year of the alleged rape, but she did explain why she waited so long to come forward. She said she flirted with Trump leading up to the incident, so for years she felt shame and blamed herself for what happened. She sobbed as she told her lawyer she regrets getting into that fitting room, calling it the worst decision of her life. Trump has not only denied allegations, he's repeatedly said he doesn't know Carroll.
I have no idea who this woman is.
And he doesn't remember this moment being photographed together. Trump posted on social media calling the case a scam. The former U.S. president is not required to be in the courtroom because it's a civil lawsuit. If found guilty, he would have to pay up, but not face jail time.
Quite apart from any damages that E. Jean Carroll is seeking, the symbolic significance of this victory would be seismic.
Chris, you were in court today. What stood out for you?
Well, Ian, one of the most dramatic moments in the testimony was when E. Jean Carroll went into great detail about how much of a toll this alleged rape has taken on her, including the fact that she's never been able to have a romantic relationship since that encounter with Donald Trump decades ago. Now, Ian, obviously Trump wasn't here today, but his lawyers have not closed the door on the possibility that he might testify. We'll be watching for that in the days ahead. This trial is expected to last a little over a week.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Ian.
Ottawa says it's one step closer to its plan to buy back guns, and it says it's reached a deal with a group that represents gun stores to help make it happen. But as Aaron Collins tells us, that group has its own concerns.
Ottawa has pulled the trigger on its plan to buy back some soon-to-be-banned firearms. It's moving forward with a plan to compensate store owners who will have to liquidate part of their inventory. A group representing those gun shops agreeing to help with the buyback.
These are the first assault-style firearms bought back under the program and show that we are moving forward with this landmark federal initiative.
Controversial legislation originally designed to outlaw handguns expanded to ban assault-style rifles after the mass shooting in Nova Scotia in 2020. For some, an overreach that can't be fixed with a buyback.
I find it to be cruel irony that the Liberal government, who has starved these mom-and-pop gun shops of resources with 3 successive gun bans, now is throwing them a bone of taxpayer dollars.
The industry group that has agreed to help with the buyback from shops is also expressing skepticism.
As much as we may not like it, and I assure you we don't like it, the law of the land is that currently these firearms are listed as prohibited, and we're unable to sell them, we're unable to move them.
For gun store owners, there are few details on how or when this program will roll out. This shop owner says he has about $500,000 in guns that will be restricted.
There really is no choice. I mean, we have to hold our nose, package these things up. At the end of the day, we don't really have a choice, no matter what they're going to give us.
Of course, this buyback deal is happening before the proposed gun ban is even law. This is just the first step in rolling out Ottawa's proposed gun ban, and buying back guns from dealers is likely the easy part. The harder question, how to get Canadian gun owners to buy in to a buyback. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
The federal government is proposing changes that could make it easier for sexual assault survivors to share their stories. Olivia Stefanovic takes us through why some say this is long overdue.
Morel Andrews says she came to Ottawa to help other sexual assault victims like her take control of their stories without fear of being punished or silenced.
I felt like the justice system had kind of fooled me.
Andrews fought for years to change the law that automatically banned the publication of the names of survivors in sexual assault cases after one was placed on her without her consent. Violating those bans is a criminal offense that can lead to stiff fines and even jail time.
I felt alone, I felt abandoned, and I felt kind of foolish.
Yes, the ban is intended to safeguard victims and the people around them, but in reality, it can sometimes do the exact opposite.
In new legislation, victims of sexual assault would be given the chance to opt out of those bans.
These proposed amendments today will strengthen our justice system by helping ensure victims and survivors are protected, that their rights are respected.
What is in the bill right now is a good start, and I think that it needs to be built upon and further clarified to ensure that there is a simpler process.
This lawyer says the proposed legislation needs to be very clear.
We have to, at every step, look at the ways in which we can allow survivors to make choices.
This is just going to be one more reason why women don't come forward.
Others worry about unintended consequences.
The stigma, the microscope that the woman complainant is put under.
They should have always had that right respected, but it's amazing that we now have an opportunity to make that crystal clear.
For Morel, this is the beginning of recognition.
Ideally, a victim should not have to go back to court to just ask for their basic right.
So, Olivia, how would victims go about lifting a publication ban on their names?
Well, Ian, they would have to ask a judge because there are some circumstances where it could be refused. For example, if other victims in the same case do not want their identities to get out, but there would be an appeals process for that.
And the government also announced changes to the sex offender registry.
Yeah, that's right. And this is related to last fall's Supreme Court of Canada ruling that struck down a law requiring sex offenders to be automatically added to the registry. So the top court found this unconstitutional, and it gave Ottawa 1 year to respond. And today it did, dropping the mandatory requirement in most cases. But there would be instances where people will be automatically registered, including anyone who makes a serious sexual offense against a child.
All right, Olivia, thank you.
You're welcome.
Some Canadians are going on TikTok to express their outrage at prices in the chip aisle.
The absolute robbery that is happening in our Canadian chip aisles right now.
But new numbers say Canadians are willing to fork over their cash for their favorite snacks.
It's like, wow, that's a really big price for one snack.
And a new warning about staring at your phone too long. It can damage your eyes.
If these children are already starting off with a significant portion of their glands having died, what is going to happen to their functionality?
Eye doctors tell us what you can do to protect your eyes. And
how good is this?
The moment a Blue Jays fan got a thrilling surprise.
And he just threw his batting gloves.
We're back in 2. Several major snack food companies are reporting their revenues are up, boosted by higher prices that are putting more pressure on Canadians at the grocery store. But as Anise Haidari shows us, shoppers are still willing to open their wallets.
This is my husband's chip cupboard. We've got
Canadians are noticing the rising cost of snacks.
the absolute robbery that is happening in our Canadian chip aisles right now.
These chips right here
For some on TikTok, it's upsetting.
are also too expensive. These chips are too expensive.
Some of the biggest companies behind junk food are upping their prices. PepsiCo, which owns Lay's, Doritos, and Pepsi, has increased average prices by 16%. Chocolate and coffee giant Nestle is charging nearly 10% more. Retailers say they have to pass that on to customers.
It's like, wow, that's a really big price for one snack or one bottle of pop.
But consumers here don't seem to be buying fewer snacks.
I'd say most people, they tend to buy the same things. I guess they don't care too much, but it's like, it adds up over time.
Snack company financials back this up. Sales are up for Nestle Confectionery, including chocolate. And PepsiCo is selling more drinks these days, even as prices rise. And while the amount sold is slightly lower for a few products, experts say customers are often loyal to their favorite brands.
It's the last affordable luxury that those households can afford. And we see that for branded processed foods and drinks and pops and carbonated drinks, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all the chips brands.
Companies aren't dropping prices because consumers continue to buy their products, even as the cost goes up.
The snack foods, the Doritos, the Coca-Cola, it's still the kind of foods, the kind of brands that even lower income consumers will continue to purchase, even though they will not buy the new car, for instance.
So higher prices without lower demand means you won't be getting a break on that Kit Kat bar at the checkout. Anis Haidari, CBC News, Calgary.
There's growing concern about excessive screen time and the damage it's doing to your eyes. Yvette Brenton tells us what conditions are on the rise and how to protect yourself.
All right, so Mark, we're gonna head over in here. So tell me what's going on with your eyes. Are you having a hard time seeing far away?
This Toronto optometrist says she's seeing an increasing number of patients with eye issues linked to screen use.
So back when I first started practicing, I'd say maybe about 10 or 15% of my primary care demographic would complain of symptoms of dryness. And now I'd say it's upwards of 50 to 60%.
Experts say staring too long at computers and smartphones is changing our eyes, and they're seeing it in children as young as 4.
Because if these children are already starting off with a significant portion of their glands having died or atrophied at a young age, what is going to happen to their functionality?
Glands in our eyelids can clog and eventually dry up if we don't blink enough.
So whenever we're staring at a screen like you and I are doing right now, our blink rate goes down to about 10% of normal. The eyelids are little windshield wipers that have oil glands in them that basically smooth the oily tears, the moisturizing tears over the eyeball.
Staring too long at something too close can also cause myopia or nearsightedness, something the World Health Organization says half the world's population will be by 2050. Experts say there are things you can do to protect your eyes.
The biggest intervention is to drastically and significantly cut screen time use.
One of the things eye doctors say you can do for your eyes is take a break. Use the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look at least 20 feet away and blink hard at least 20 times.
So we're gonna get you a prescription for some glasses.
And eye doctors say spread the word so screens don't blur our vision.
So what do we have to do?
Less screen time.
Less screen time and more of what?
Yvette Brenton, CBC News, Vancouver.
A Canadian doctor is trying to debunk the misconceptions about a treatment to manage menopause.
That is a pharma talking point from the 1960s.
The facts around hormone replacement therapy.
A lot of people were afraid to prescribe hormones because we're giving people breast cancer.
And a program to help Ukrainian soldiers deal with the pressure of the front lines.
It's frightening. You don't even know where are you running to, but you run.
The National takes you deeper into the stories shaping our world. Next. In a conversation about menopause, the words hormone therapy can create confusion and fear. For people suffering debilitating menopause symptoms, it can bring welcome relief, but some worry it could also cause cancer. So Joanna Remiliotis set out on a search for clarity about that risk and what lies behind the confusion.
There have been scary headlines, misleading advertising.
Bioidentical hormones, essential for quality of life.
Feminist outrage and just a whole lot of noise.
There seems to be misinformation about hormone replacement therapy.
When it comes to managing menopause, figuring out if hormone therapy is good or bad can be tough. So we set out to find out what's the real deal.
Joanna, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Who better to ask than Dr. Jen Gunter, also known as the internet's most famous gynecologist.
Nuance doesn't sell. Nuance does not sell, right? It's either doctors are denying people hormones or hormones are evil. And, that's not medicine. Let me just get it set up. For today's Menopause Minute,
Gunter records regular menopause minutes, and they're all about fact over fiction.
That is a pharma talking point from the 1960s. Unfortunately, it's a scam. If your doctor or provider is doing testing to manage your therapy, you're getting bad care.
She's a best-selling author and a fierce advocate for women's health. And on this night, she's back in her native Canada at a sold-out event in Vancouver, taking on myths and misinformation.
I'm really thrilled to be able to give you this talk tonight.
Hormone therapy for menopause, the fear and confusion around it, is right up there and has been for decades.
In 2002, the Women's Health Initiative was halted. This was a big study on menopausal hormone therapy. People on hormone therapy dropped from 42% to less than 5%.
That's a huge drop, and let's step away for a sec to tell you what caused it.
So what's the deal with hormone therapy? Why is it still so controversial and still such a hot topic? Well, it goes back about 20 years when a big study linked hormone therapy to breast cancer and heart disease. It caused a major panic, and millions of women around the world suddenly stopped taking hormone therapy. Since then, it's become much clearer that those risks were overstated, but the fear still lingers.
When the first piece of information you hear about something is scary, it's really hard to undo that, even for doctors.
Before we unpack that fear, let's talk about that study. It was called the Women's Health Initiative, and Gunter says it not only scared women, it scared doctors too.
How did that affect treatment for women?
Well, I think a lot of people were afraid to prescribe hormones because we're giving people breast cancer, right? You don't want to give your patients cancer. You don't want to give them heart disease. These were all things that, we were afraid of because of the Women's Health Initiative.
But the average age of women in the study was 63. Women are more likely to get heart disease and breast cancer as they age. And when hormone therapy is started later, it can accelerate those risks. Later analysis took all that into account.
There was some pretty quick rebuttals that came out. We started to feel, okay, this isn't as crazy as we thought. This isn't as scary as we thought. Maybe there's a lot more nuance here, and we need to take all that in.
That nuance has shaped today's guidelines around hormone therapy, and they state the benefits of hormone therapy for hot flashes and night sweats typically outweigh the risks for most healthy women under 60 and within 10 years of menopause onset. And if taken for less than 5 years, the risk of breast cancer is less than 1 in 1,000 women. New lower dose formulations and new delivery methods, such as patches and gels, are also safer. But not all doctors have kept up with the latest research. And it's a lot of information for the average woman to make sense of on her own. Inez Fazel simply resigned herself to accept menopause as the hand women are dealt,
Last card.
and to just suffer through it.
So I've had many symptoms: depression, night sweats, hot flashes, weight gain, loss of libido, brain fog, just not feeling like my body was mine.
She says her family doctor in Toronto didn't offer much guidance about hormone therapy, and she wasn't pushing for it either.
What was it that scared you the most about hormone therapy?
So what scared me the most was the risk of cancer. We had heard about the Women's Health Initiative, the study that was done many years ago. And so I felt fear from that. I also felt fear of the unknown.
That fear of the unknown, despite how much more is now known about hormone therapy, speaks to a lack of awareness.
Welcome, everyone. I think we're ready to get started.
Shirley Weir runs MenopauseChicks.com. Her mission is to empower women.
You're going to get quality information, and then your job is to leave and to choose the journey that's right for you.
She regularly brings in experts on women's health, online and at in-person events like this one in Cambridge, Ontario. How often do women come to you with questions around hormone therapy?
Women come to the Menopause Chicks community daily with questions about hormone therapy.
I appreciate that.
There is a way out.
Weir says many women turn to her because they're not getting much support from their family doctors or still don't understand their personal risk.
I work with a lot of women who have really never been taught how to understand risk. Like, there's a risk in everything, and there's a risk in not doing some things as well. And so we hear breast cancer and we think, oh, I don't want that, obviously, right? But we don't actually understand, or we haven't had a health professional explain the real risk to us. This is not to tell women that they should take hormone therapy, but to really encourage them that their health is worth having an investigative conversation about what the benefits would be for them.
I bet you there absolutely are people who are like, I'm suffering from hot flashes, and their doctor said, well, just suck it up. You know, right?
Gunter says no doubt some women are being denied treatment that could help them because the fear hasn't gone away. How do you explain the fact that it's still lingering 20 years later?
It's very hard to unring an alarm bell. It really is. And I think we live in a world where people want to have absolutes. They want to have absolutely safe, absolutely unsafe. And nothing in medicine is like that. And fear makes it difficult for people to sort through things.
Fazil's own fear eventually turned to frustration.
I just said, that's it. I can't take this anymore. I don't get good sleep. I can't work. I just couldn't handle it. So this is the medication that I'm taking right now.
So she did her own research and got a prescription for hormone therapy. What difference has hormone therapy made for you?
I feel like I'm less depressed. I feel like, for the most part, the night sweats are gone and the hot flashes are gone. So it's a big difference from that perspective. So I feel that there's many pluses.
But Fazil says she should have had more help along the way.
I just had to do it on my own. Sometimes you just have to. But I feel like we should have more information from our doctors and from our healthcare providers.
Gunter is leading the conversation that many women are looking for, and it comes with a lot of caveats. Hormone therapy is not as scary as many might think, but it's not for everyone, and it's not a cure-all either.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying hormones fix everything, that hormones are a panacea for everything. And that's not true. But for people that are at low risk, not at high risk for cardiovascular disease, you're not someone with a history of breast cancer, the risk of taking it short term, if you're using a transdermal pharmaceutical dose for 2 to 3 years is incredibly low.
So, Joanna, all of this was prompted by questions you got after your first story on menopause aired in January. What should people take away from it?
Well, Ian, we got a lot of questions about hormone therapy, and the biggest takeaway is that there is not a one-size-fits-all prescription, nor should it be. And it also comes down to an individual's tolerance for risk. So the current guidelines for women who are good candidates is to start early, go on the lowest dose, and for the shortest amount of time. And for women who don't want to go on hormone therapy or who can't, there are other medications being developed to deal with symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats.
And so we hear a lot about risks. What about the benefits?
Well, aside from relieving symptoms that can be debilitating and can last for years, hormone therapy has also been proven to support bone health, heart health, and brain health. But it comes back to timing. Hormone therapy has to be started earlier to get the most benefits. And Dr. Gunter says the best treatment for all women is a healthy lifestyle. Not smoking, limiting alcohol, eating well, and exercising regularly can go a long way towards managing menopause symptoms and to staying healthy.
Thanks, Joanna.
Thank you.
Women's sexual health is also top of mind for some new Canadian companies.
There needed to be an option, a condom option on the market that wasn't just focused on male pleasure.
How they hope to change where you buy condoms in the future. The Chinese president spoke to Ukraine's president on the phone today for the first time since Russia's invasion. Vladimir Zelensky described the hour-long call as being long and meaningful. Chinese state media is reporting Beijing is planning to send an envoy to Kyiv to further advance talks. China has resisted denouncing the invasion. The toll of 14 months of war is far-reaching in Ukraine. Thousands have been killed, and many more are suffering from deteriorating mental health. A new center in the Kharkiv region has been set up to offer soldiers support. But as Briar Stewart shows us, it's nowhere near enough.
Inside this small gym in the Kharkiv region, a physiotherapy session, part of a week-long break from life on the front line. For 26-year-old Dmytro Menchenko, these movements were tougher than he thought they would be. Since September, he spent most of his time driving a tank, often gripped by fear as he heads out on missions near Avdiivka in Donetsk. One day, when they were just over a kilometer from Russian positions, his tank broke down.
You quickly run and they shell you. You fall and the shrapnel falls over your head. Another time the machine gun shot our tanks. It's frightening. You don't even know where are you running to, but you run.
He says every time he heads out he worries, and so does his family back home.
Everyone is afraid in their own way. One explosion and you're dead. When you expect it, it may not happen. But what if it happens?
Trying to help manage that fear and the months of trauma and loss is part of this unique program that's funded by donations and foreign aid. This week, 100 soldiers have been brought to a former sanatorium in the Kharkiv area. We can't identify the exact location for security, but can show you some of what takes place here. There are alternative treatments like salt rooms and laser therapy. The partners of soldiers are often invited to take part too. For the soldiers themselves, there's group counseling and one-on-one sessions with a psychologist. 40 of the soldiers here arrived from the Bakhmut area, the site of a seemingly never-ending, hellish battle that's already killed a huge number of soldiers on both sides. Those who survive and keep fighting can't help but be affected by what they're going through.
This is the second year of full-scale fighting. Man is not made of iron. He is not made of concrete. A person has a limit, and when they break it, they can have psychological breakdowns.
Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vasilkovsky has studied psychology and has also struggled with the mental impacts of war. His fight began in the Donbass back in 2014. He knows soldiers who've been so overwhelmed they've killed themselves.
When a soldier ends his life by suicide, it is very painful. It will be very difficult for the commander of this soldier to explain to his wife, child, and parents why this happened, what prompted him to do it.
He says suicide is a large problem for Ukraine's military, but the statistics are secret. He believes the entire country is in need of psychological help, including the rescue crews who spend night after night pulling people out of the rubble, and utility workers who live in fear that the critical infrastructure they're protecting could be Russia's next target. But in a country focused on trying to defend itself, there isn't nearly enough resources for mental health. Some are not very good. Some lose their nerves and you need to cheer them up, says Dmytro Bobilyov. He tries to help soldiers near the front line however he can. The physiotherapist drives to Ukrainian positions near Russia's border. He and his team treat the soldiers' pain through massage and acupuncture. They bring some relief, but Alexander wishes a psychologist could be sent out too. He has problems sleeping and describes a permanent feeling of anxiety.
A person at war changes a lot. It is a fact. You cannot deny it. But I will hope for the better, and that I will be the same person as before.
Back at the health center, most sessions last a week, but soldiers can stay longer if they need more help from a psychologist. Yuri Ivlev is with an artillery unit, and lost 2 of his fingers last May. He's looking forward to returning to his unit, where they call him Grandpa.
The war is like a disease now. It drugs you in.
He says on the front line, fear is a good thing as it keeps him on high alert. But when there finally is peace, he admits adjusting to life will be challenging. That, he says, could be the hardest part, and when soldiers like him will really need psychological support.
And the founder of the center told Breyer that he plans to open another facility northwest of Kharkiv, but he adds many more are needed. Coming up, a simple gesture of kindness left this young fan in utter disbelief.
Now he's wearing the gloves. This is so good.
A priceless reaction and an unforgettable memory in our moment. Two Canadian women are trying to change the way we think about condoms. The entrepreneurs are hoping to revolutionize how the contraceptives are marketed and sold. Sophia Harris shows us why.
All 3 blowing up, yeah.
A TikTok shoot for a new company trying to blow up the condom industry.
Perfect.
The product, Gems. Its mission, to make condoms fun and friendly for everyone.
We really felt, honestly, like we could make a difference.
Whitney Geller and Yasmin Emery launched Gems 2 years ago, following an eye-opening trip to the condom aisle.
Some of the language felt very focused on males and their performance, and that was something, certainly we noticed, we felt excluded.
This should be universal. The duo also learned some troubling stats about the rise of sexually transmitted infections. A 2019 StatsCan report found cases of chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis have soared over the past decade. Condoms help protect against these infections.
Brian Fantana's glorious cabinet of condoms.
Condoms are often considered a man's domain, as depicted in the comedy Anchorman.
That one is ultra ribbed.
Geller and Emery felt they could get more people using condoms if they designed one with universal appeal.
We intentionally chose gender-neutral color palette. We wanted it to be playful, beautiful. We wanted this to be a coveted box that you wouldn't be actually embarrassed to have around.
Gems just launched at Target in the U.S. In Canada, it can be found at Whole Foods and Loblaws, next to the toiletries.
We're working with retailers to bring condoms beyond the condom aisle and merchandise them in a way where it just feels like part of your everyday wellness.
It's not just Gems that's shaking up the industry. There are now at least 10 female-run condom companies in the world, including in Australia, India, and the United States.
We have a lot at stake as well.
Canadian-born Victoria Lyons, who now lives in Nashville, founded her condom company, Slip, last year.
Follow your dreams. Yeah.
Lyons says it's critical women feel comfortable buying condoms.
I really felt like there needed to be an option, a condom option on the market that wasn't just focused on male pleasure at the forefront, and we should feel empowered to carry them, to really, feel like we're in control of our sexual health.
While these companies offer a fresh perspective, it remains to be seen whether they'll have staying power. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
Just over a week now until he appears on the world stage for his coronation. King Charles was on stage alongside the Queen consort at the Eurovision Song Contest in Liverpool.
3, 2, 1.
They're not competing, just checking in on preparations before it kicks off next month. Britain is hosting on behalf of Ukraine, ruled out from holding the event this year due to the war. Well, this Blue Jays fan was a tiny bit more animated than the king, holding some coveted batting gloves and wearing a genuine look of disbelief, all captured on camera last night. It stemmed from a simple gesture. Blue Jays outfielder Kevin Kiermaier tossed his batting gloves to the young fan and made his day. It is that priceless expression that is our moment.
And he just threw his batting gloves to a young fan in the third row of seats.
It was a small act of kindness that got a very big reaction.
How good is this?
Last night, Jays versus the White Sox, bottom of the fourth. Jays outfielder Kevin Kiermaier steps up to the plate. this huge two-run triple.
Jensen is home. Kiermaier is into third, and it is 5-0.
That was certainly impressive, but it was this gesture afterwards that probably earned him a fan for life, tossing his batting gloves to a young kid who went into a giddy state of shock.
Now he's wearing the gloves. This is so good.
His look of stunned surprise and joy, a priceless moment he'll likely remember for a long time. Not that it's about me, but the control room is trying to goad me into making that face now. I'm not going to. But what a fantastic face. That last picture by TVO host Steve Paikin, who I guess was sitting close by. And apparently the Blue Jays player, Kiermaier, said he was even more thrilled by the boy's reaction than the boy seemed to be himself. So just one of those really nice baseball moments. Jays, by the way, doing really well, especially in that series. That is the National for April 26th. Have a good night.